Hello everyone. In the previous video, we discussed the approach behind this question. In this video, we'll be solving it. So without further ado, let's start off with the basic variables that we need to initialize to get our solution going. So we have word map, word count, word length, and window size. Let's get those. What will their values be? We can calculate in a second. Word count. Word count is simple. Words dot length. Each word will have the length of whatever is the length of the first word. So we'll get the first word, we'll take its length out, and that's pretty much it. Our window size will be word count into word length. All right, that will be the size of the window for which we have to break it down into chunks of this size and check if each word exists in the right frequency or not. Basically, what we discussed previously. All right, it's time to check how to get this map of ours. So we'll send our input over here. Let's write this function separately to keep things a little neater. So this get map function will have our string, it will have our words. Although it doesn't really need the string, I think. So what we're going to do is take our map. Let's call it word frequency. We will loop over words. A simple for loop is what I'm using here. You can experiment with the other for loops that we have. So we'll go over each word. If our map already has this word, then we will simply increase its frequency. Let's just write things a little neatly. So let's say current word. So if this exists already, we will add its frequency by incremented by 1 basically. Otherwise, we will initialize it to 1. And I've written this down in a very simple, neat manner. You can shorten this in maybe one line. You can use ternary operators. You can use for each loops to do this exact operation. And once you're done, you can return this word frequency. All right. And let's see what that gives us just to see if our solution is in the right place or not. Let's check our direction. This is our output, and that's exactly what we have over here. That is the frequency we are expecting. All right. So our prerequisites seem to be sorted. Then we have our answer variable. After this, we will, like I said, loop over the string. And this loop is basically the one that we discussed in the previous video. What I want to do is go over all the possible windows that I can of the particular length. So this is the range that we go forward to. You can do a dry run to see if this is valid or not. If it is wrong, then you let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to clear any doubts that you may have related to it. In this loop, we first get our substring. Our substring can be fetched like this. So we start off in this index. We want the particular length number of characters after that index, starting from that index. So if we want, let's say 6 characters over here. So if we have index 0, we go all the way up to index 5. All right. So if you know the substring operation, you will know that if I is 0, window size is 6 in this particular example. then it will take out all the characters from index 0 till index 5, right before our last, right before this value, that is 6, right? So we go one index before that, and that is our substring. And then we check if substring is valid. This will be a function that we will write in a second. Then we will append our current index to this answer variable. This function should need some inputs. That will be, of course, our substring, word length, because we want to break our substring down into chunks of this size, and of course our word map, because we need to compare frequencies of the temporary frequency map to the map that we have in the beginning to check for accuracy. So let's write this function down now. Let's write it properly. Is substring valid is the preferred way to write such a thing. Whenever you expect a Boolean response, you prefer to phrase it as a question. Is the substring valid? True or false? Something like that. So we have the substring, we have the length of the words, and of course we have our map. Over here, we had to do a couple of things. First, we had to form the temporary map. Let's do that first. So we will have to loop over our substring, and since we have to take out one chunk at a time of this length, compare it, move on to the next, we will not increment one by one, we will increment it with this length itself. First word, then move on to the second word directly. We don't need all the other substrings in between. So that's basically what we're doing. I plus equal to word length. All right, let's try to get our chunk now. Let's just call it chunk because why not? Then we have the slice function that can help us do that. If you notice, the substring function and the slice function work very similarly. So, just use whatever you prefer as long as you know exactly how to use it. Then we will simply repeat some of this logic and say that if my word, that is the chunk, is already present in my temporary object, my temporary frequency map, then increase the frequency. Otherwise, put it inside the map with a frequency of 1 because we have encountered it for the first time. So let's just copy this, and there we go. This will give us the temporary object. Now we have to compare this with the word map. So what we can do is we will iterate over all the keys inside this word map. You can use the for in operation. We will check if the frequency of our current word inside the word map is not equal to the frequency of the same word inside this temp object that we have, we will return false. And if somehow we manage to find a combination where this condition does not trigger at all, we will return true at the end. We can do one more preemptive check in this very loop. When we are forming an object, we can check at if this chunk is not present in our word map in the first place, then we can return false because we have a substring that has an invalid word by default. So if word map chunk is not a value, it is undefined, basically it is not present in the map, then we can simply return false. All right, so we'll check this, and I think we are good to go. Let's try to submit our solution. Okay, wrong answers all over. Let's see what we have wrong. We did not return our answer. And their servers were thinking, okay, there's no answer. How can we grade this even if the logic is correct? So we return our answer and the case is passed. Let's try to submit this. And there you go. That is how you solve the question, substring with concatenation of all words. And I hope you liked it. Follow for more. I will see you in the next one.